end up in the Terminator scenario. Researchers have been asking artificial intelligence, if we end up in the Terminator scenario, what solutions might we have? And to be honest, I feel comforted. Some solutions seem promising.
Drop it! Play music?
Dino energy. Grimlock say thank you, mighty subscriber. You wise like ancient Autobot, but cooler. Grimlock say thank you, mighty subscriber. You wise like ancient Autobot, but cooler. Grimlock.
Thank God we programmed them to dance. I didn't know that was why. Now I get it. Table tennis is now a thing that humans used to be better than robots at.
Robot is really one of the first examples of a robot that can interact with humans at the fastest time scales that we are able to interact with.
AI just got a lot better at looking at a scene the same way humans do and knowing what we probably focused our attention on. James Burrow has an argument for why OpenAI should be looking to completely absorb the company Snapchat. Although I did ask you guys in a poll if you thought that was a good idea, and I thought it would be close to 50-50, but you clearly percent of you think it is not a good move. I'll share some opinions about why having humans in the loop in terms of AI warfare is just simply an illusion. Some new research shows that AI language models really do understand the real world. Scientists can now do mitochondrial transplants. How cool is that? New energy source, like getting a new battery. For all that talk about how powerful Mythos is, it actually looks like it's producing code. Firefox got 271 bug fixes thanks to Mythos. I think it's safe to say there's a little bit of panic going on over at Google right now. And I can say that because billionaire founder of Google has created a strike team just to handle better coding from Gemini. Alex Bohr, a Democratic House candidate in New York, is talking about an AI dividend. We'll break down some of the more interesting ways that this current war in Iran is so different because of artificial intelligence and the way that media is digesting it. Look at how intense Meta's new tracking is. I mean, they are recording everything that their employees do, every mouse movement, every keystroke, and you know that is training the future of their employees in terms of AI agents. I think when Forbes was referring to the billion-dollar company of one that is coming faster than you think, they weren't necessarily meaning Zuckerberg fired everybody but himself after building AI. I think they meant like a regular person becomes a billionaire because of AI, but you know, tomato, tomato. And they'll share a no humans allowed scientific AI agent social network that you can't be a part of. But first, if you wouldn't mind hitting some button on my YouTube channel to increase its, growth. For example, you could click this one and watch a different video after this. Or you could click this one and join my membership program, as little as $2.99 a month. Or you could click this one and thumbs up the video. Don't press that one, but this one's okay. All right, I think you pretty much already got the gist of this joke, but I'll just finish it up for you. Look, here's the possible good news about the robot World War III apocalypse that probably isn't coming because it'll be much different, but it'll still be a problem. But if it does turn out the way Terminator says it will, at least we know that prompt injections are pretty hard to truly protect against. So if they've all been told to, destroy humanity, then maybe we can just override that prompt with dance moves. I mean, look, as a doomer, I don't have a lot to go off of here. So I'm trying to latch on to whatever positivity stuff I can about this future. See what the commenters say. AI is going to save our species, but humans will still destroy themselves. Yeah, okay. That's what they want you to think. I know, they're so clever. 2D, 3D chess. It's my hypothesis that by 2033 to 2035, we'll have robots with AI minds that are indistinguishable from human beings. Yeah, if they build the actuators with muscles and you think real skin, maybe like a layer of biological stuff on the outside, who knows? 2033, we will have some incredibly intelligent robots. I think we'll be arguing about consciousness and all sorts of things that seem crazy now, but indistinguishable. By 2040, 45, I kind of want to say, maybe even 50? Or do you actually like grow an entire human body without a brain and you just put something digital in there and then that's kind of why it feels so human? I see, I don't know. That feels like a little further off. All right, so Sony, the famous company from the Walkman and Discman and video games, now built a robot that can ace humans in real time, like real elite tennis or table tennis players. And not always win, but a lot of times win. Sometimes win, at least. But it is fast, and it isn't pre-programmed movements. This is a system called ACE, and it is learning by experience using reinforcement learning, and it is improving daily. And it's to the point now where it is really swift. So the robot tracks the ball with 9 cameras. It can even read the logo on the ball to measure spin in real time. Its arm has 8 joints, which can give it flexibility to position shots, react quickly, and adjust mid-play. Now, the goal wasn't to make it superhuman right off the bat. The researchers limited its speed and reach so that it plays under the same rules and condition as a trained human. So some of the stuff you might have seen in the past really wouldn't have played a normal game. You had to sort of have special rules because it couldn't reach in the same place as a human could, but this is trying to be fully human in terms of the way that it plays. And instead of just being faster, it is trying to win through decision making and timing. They've put a lot of effort into the brains of this player. It's trying to learn your moves. It's trying to notice what's different and what might work. It's trying to put spin on the ball, which is really fascinating for the people who are playing against it. In tests, Ace defeated most high-level players that it faced, but some pros, said that it made some shots that they thought were completely impossible, but yet it missed some stuff that a normal person would have hit back to them. So I guess in the same way LLMs, sometimes they're so intelligent and sometimes they're kind of weirdly stupid. It's the same thing with sports. All right, so this is some research you might want to know about because at first glance, it might seem like, what do you mean attention versus what you're looking at? But if you think about when we focus on something, you walk into a room, your eyes do pick up the whole room, right? Like if it's a kitchen, you'll kind of know where the refrigerator is and the stove and the dishwasher and all that stuff. But what do you actually focus on matters. Like, do you look, if there's like bananas and apples, do you look at an apple and you think, oh, that sounds good, I'd like to eat it? All of a sudden, when you do that, your eye sees the apple, your brain throws away a ton of information. I mean, if there was something weird in the room, you'd notice it. But if everything's kind of how it should be and expected, your brain turns off and throws away a ton of data and it puts attention on something. And if we want AI systems to also feel human, act human, they have to understand attention, not just what we're looking at. So that's what they're looking at here. In virtual reality, there's 360-degree videos. So the system is not stuck looking at a single frame. It can essentially look anywhere that it wants at all times. And it creates the problem for the AI of where do you actually go? What do you put your attention on? What would a human do? And the study shows that vision alone isn't enough to answer that. So the researchers built a data set of 81 different 360 videos. They tested them with no sound, basic sound, and spatial sound. You know, the kind of audio that feels like it's coming from a specific direction to help with attention. And then they tracked the eye movements of over 100 people. Then they trained 2 AI models. One model used only visuals. The other used both sound and visuals together. And the result was pretty clear. The audio-visual model predicted attention much better. It could even spot areas where people looked at because of the sound, not the visuals alone. And that shows that human attention isn't just what we see, it's also what we hear that makes us think about a specific thing and how they both work together, right? And that makes so much sense. How many times in a movie or in real life have you heard a crash outside, like a screeching car or something, and you look right afterwards? The sound grabs your attention. Somebody says your name from across the room, like, you know, your eyes dart right away to like, who is that? Was that for me? You're at Starbucks and they call your name out, but it's not you. It's another person named Dylan or Mr. Curious, but probably Dylan would be more likely. Boom. Takes your attention away when it's not even your turn to go get your latte. Is this real? No. A friend just sent me this while I was filming. I looked down at my phone. Is that AI? Is that for real? That might be for real. You know what? Let's see. The spelling on anything weird? Any people in the background? Yeah, maybe that is just a squirrel spinning around. That says Wait, Navy? No, that looks like fake sign. No, that's real. I don't know. Who knows? It could be real. Squirrels do weird stuff like that. They're kind of like nature's cats. Squirrel versus Waymo. So what do you make about all these tech companies buying media companies? We had the big OpenAI acquires TBPN last week. Now A16Z is launching a new media company called MTS. So it's all real-time stuff. It's meant to run interviews all day on X with the most relevant people of the moment. I don't know. I always wonder, and like, where's my place in all this? Like, I try to do the same thing, I think. Like sense making, answering what's happening and why it matters. But then again, sometimes I like to try to find stuff that everyone else isn't talking about because, like, I've already heard the same opinions and they seem to kind of rehash a lot with stuff, especially when there's like so many technological breakthroughs that just seem crazy when you think about them, but they just aren't, you know, talking points. I don't know. What do you guys think? Next up, let's talk about James Borrow's opinion that Snap should be acquired by OpenAI, saying the more I think about it, the more I believe that Evan Spiegel has a real power move left that can 100% flip the narrative. And in case you don't know him, this is him, co-founder and CEO of Snap. He says, announce a strategic partnership with OpenAI, which in my opinion should buy them, both for the team to leverage internally and for usage across the new family of apps. I mean, the way Grok got integrated into the X app, which was already on millions of phones, I guess that could make sense if OpenAI wants to just buy access to that app, essentially. All right, but this is worth thinking about for a second because OpenAI's biggest challenge isn't just building smart models, it's getting them into everyday life. Google's building these models and integrating them into the Gmail apps and all of these things that we're all using. Microsoft's kind of in the same boat. They can just integrate it into LinkedIn and all of this enterprise stuff. Elon's able to integrate it into his cars and into X. Zuck's got Facebook and all of these things, but OpenAI is just, where's it going? You know, like they're selling the model a little bit to Codex and Microsoft. And they're kind of getting people to sign up for just the service alone and plug it into other APIs. But Snapchat's got hundreds of millions of daily users. They've got a younger audience that lives inside of a camera so they could like see a lot about the world and talk about it. A fire hose of real-time human behavior they could build off of. And I mean, if they're reading all of those messages or at least, you know, taking some patterns from them, if they're not taking direct information, they would learn a lot about people, how humor evolves, how slang kind of spreads, how people react emotionally. And Snap's building AR stuff, right? Like they have Snap glasses and they have this whole AR division that, you know, it seems like something OpenAI might want to start getting into the hardware game. They've got Johnny Ive, but realistically, Snap's not like insane to purchase. Like $15 billion to $30 billion range is kind of how it swings. I mean, we just saw Elon Musk keep a $60 billion potential buyout of Cursor, which is just, you know, for programming. Although programming has an iterative thing that might make it worth that. But, you know, Snap, 30 billion, maybe. Is it a side quest? Kinda. In the long run, though, it does give him users and users that might start paying a little bit more for AI inside of an app like that. And if a company like Microsoft already has a big chunk of OpenAI, they might be like, yeah, here's some more cash. We could use the data in some other ways too. So if OpenAI gives Snap shareholders equity in OpenAI, I could see the purchase going down. So even though they say, everybody's saying, you know, OpenAI is going to go bankrupt or they're like in so much debt, somehow I could still see them pulling this off. Sam Altman just pulls money out of nowhere over and over again. He's got like friends in Dubai or something. But yeah, just for the record, I did ask you guys what you thought about OpenAI buying Snapchat, and it didn't seem like many people thought it was as good of an idea. Consolidation is never good for anyone other than the consolidators. No more mergers. AI companies are well into the cash crunch. The whole point is he's supposed to be dropping these side quests. Let me ask Claude. Ooh, that's actually the most punchy answer there is. Oh, I can highlight things now on YouTube comments. I wonder if that stays for you guys to read too. You should tell me if that's there. I'll highlight just the word amazing. Tell me if that's only on my end or not. Anyway, food for thought. Let me hear your opinions. Now let's talk about throwing AI into war and the idea that somehow there's sort of like ethics in war where humans can still make kill decisions and we can use AI in a responsible way to kill our enemies or scare them into submission or whatever war is all about. So the idea that humans can control AI in war sounds safe, but this article is arguing that's mostly an illusion. So AI is not just helping in wars, it's actively making decisions. That's why it's a bit different. This is the whole Anthropic, like DOW issue, is that you can't just implement it like a tool. One thing might be very powerful like a missile, but it's still mechanical. It still has physics that follow it. It won't surprise you with its intelligence. But AI means it can pick targets, it can guide missiles, it can control drone swarms in real time. It can do stuff that humans can't, at scales and speeds that humans can't, that our brains don't comprehend. So because of that, many people say we should keep a human in the loop to stay in control, but this article is saying that the belief is misleading because the real problem is not how AI is going to act alone, it's that humans often don't even understand what AI is actually doing. Remember Move 32, I think, in the Go game with DeepMind, where no player had seen it. It didn't make sense. What does that mean? Like that might be a strategic move that helps us in war, but a human in the loop hasn't seen that before. And now we're kind of in the dark, even though we see what it's doing and we can assess the moment for what happened. We don't have context to make a decision on if it's good or bad. So modern AI systems have many elements that are black boxes. We can see like what goes in and what comes out, but not how the decision is made inside. We can't predict it ahead of time. And even the people who build the systems can't fully explain it. We're teaching it. It's a little super genius alien that we've told it to like get better than us at doing things, and it has, but doesn't mean we can control why or how or know or understand it in any way. This creates what's called an intention gap. The AI follows instructions, but it might interpret them in ways that humans did not expect. And in a fast, high-pressure situation, this gap becomes even more dangerous. The article argues the real solution is not just oversight. We need better tools to understand AI intentions before it acts. And until then, human control over AI in war may be more of an illusion than it is protection. So what do these models actually understand? Let's go there. Scientists have been testing whether or not AI can tell the difference between real, unlikely, and impossible events. And the results were pretty surprising. So most AI language models learn by reading huge amounts of text on the internet. But then you ask a simple question. Do they actually understand how the real world works, or are they just repeating patterns from what they've seen? Now, this study tested the idea using two simple sentences. Some made sense, like cooling a drink with ice, and some were unlikely, like cooling a drink with snow. It would work, but you wouldn't see it very often, and it'd be kind of weird if someone did it. And then some were impossible, like using fire to cool down a drink. And then a final group was just like pure nonsense. Didn't make any sense at all. Researchers then looked inside the AI's internal sort of brain states, the way that all the neurons, the artificial neurons were connected. That method is called mechanistic interpretability, and it's like studying how the system thinks using sort of a sparse model, looking at the way things are aligned, the different features, and they found a clear pattern. The model created different internal signals for each type of scenario. They could even tell apart very similar categories like unlikely versus impossible with about 85% accuracy. And even more interestingly, the model showed uncertainty just like humans do. If people were split on whether something was impossible or just unlikely, the AI actually reflected that same split pattern inside of its neurons. So the key takeaway is that large models don't just memorize text. They develop something close to a basic understanding of how the world works. I'm reading The Infinity Machine, the kind of Demis Hassabis story of DeepMind. When he was arguing against symbolic kind of AI, meaning like there's just no way to take one symbol and turn it into another and have knowledge about the world kind of established from there. And it does kind of feel like just having tokens, text, symbol, maybe even pixels in an arrangement of some kind, knowledge and intelligence just emerges out of it. And I don't think really anybody saw that coming. And I feel like that's what we're kind of moving towards here in terms of what we're discovering with AI. So yeah, they feel like they're not just parrots. There's something special going on. Anyway, let's talk about longevity. So sometimes we cover how, you probably know by now that I think there's a good chance that our youngest years are ahead of us if we're going through this longevity escape velocity. And why I think that is all sorts of technologies, CRISPR and these peptides. And now, even more evidence. Scientists have found a way to recharge failing cells by delivering fresh power sources directly inside of them. So the mitochondria, power plant of the cell, as we all know, they make the energy that your body needs to function. But when the power plant starts to break, cells start to fail. Now, this is a major problem for diseases like blindness, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Fixing mitochondria is hard because they have their own DNA and it's difficult to reach, it's difficult to change. So scientists have started testing these different ideas. Instead of fixing broken mitochondria, they're just like, why don't we just replace the whole thing? We can just grow other cells, take those mitochondria out, put them in there. They send in healthy ones to restore energy production. And the challenge is that getting these healthy mitochondria into the right cell is difficult, but with a new system called MitoCatch, they have solved that problem. It's using a kind of biological handshake to just slip it in there, and it adds matching proteins to both the mitochondria and the target cells so that they latch onto each other, and it takes root. Once attached, the mitochondria can enter the cell and start working. In mice with inherited blindness, this helped damaged eye cells survive and function better. Now, the treatment doesn't fix the original genetic problem. It simply gives cells enough working parts to produce energy again. But it's still early, and this shows that there might be new ways to treat diseases, and restoring energy inside of cells is a fascinating line of research and is definitely worthy of the breakthrough. All right, if you're using Firefox, Mozilla, I haven't actually used Firefox for a long time, but I definitely remember an era where that was my browser. And of course, the Mozilla Foundation, which is a great organization, does a lot for the internet. So it was great to hear that they got early access to Anthropic's Mythos model that we know is incredibly good at cybersecurity. And it found and fixed 271 bugs in Firefox that, humans didn't know about. To put that into context, that's a lot. Mozilla is saying that these AI tools can now find bugs in Firefox that used to take humans serious time and money to uncover. Time and money that open source projects like Firefox didn't always have. So the new Firefox includes all these security bugs that were found with early access to Mythos. This makes me think that that model really is special. Like, it was one thing when everybody was sort of saying it from like hearsay or benchmarks, but this seems legit. Like, if something like Firefox got all of these fixes in just one single update, it makes me think that they really are doing something powerful over there. And the point is not just that AI helped fix one browser, it's that Mozilla says tools like this are completely changing the way software security works. For years, teams found bugs with a mixture of automated testing and human experts and bug bounties, but a bunch of bugs were still really hard to find unless someone spent a lot of time, skill, and money. But now, kind of amateurs can go in there and say, hey, can you find me a 0-day to exploit? And the system itself can do all the intelligent looking. Mozilla says that advanced AI may uncover many more of these hidden bugs and much faster, which creates a race condition. Defenders need to find and fix these flaws before attackers get the same power to go find them. Mozilla's CTO says every major piece of software may need to go through this kind of cleanup ASAP. He sees it as a hard but temporary transition, and the bigger worry is just all of the open source software that's maintained by small teams. Like, somebody's got to get in there, sometimes even just like one unpaid person, and implement something like Mythos to go in there and secure it. Because those people will not have time or access or the kind of effort that is needed to find these bug bounties will not be in them. So Mozilla says this is not just a tech problem, it's a human and industry problem. We need to get used to it ASAP. All right, next up, let's talk about the internal strike team coming out of Google, especially in the DeepMind division where their smartest AI people are, because there's a lot of people there that believe that they're losing at the coding game. The AI coding game is Anthropic's right now. So they created a focused internal team to improve how AI writes code. And there's one simple reason behind this. Inside the company, there's a growing belief that Anthropic does it better. And its small lead could lead to iterative AI, where their coding model is writing the next version of Claude, which is then getting smarter, and then writing the next version of Claude, and then getting smarter. And that runaway gap is going to leave Google in the dust. So this new team is working on harder problems, not just short code snippets, but full software projects. That means understanding large code bases and compiling long multi-step tasks, setting goals, keeping memory. And Google is also pushing its own employees to use AI tools more often. These internal tools are trained on Google's private code, so they are more tailored, but they will not be released publicly. Leaders like Sergey Brin are directly involved in this strike team. The long-term goal is much bigger than coding. They want AI that can improve itself. Across the industry, most developers already use AI tools mainly to save time, but many still do not fully trust the results. So for Google, improving the code base until the point where AI is trustworthy and is superhuman, is not just a stepping stone to something larger. It's literally the end game. And when all that massive wealth flows to the very few, what's going to happen? Well, Alex Bors has an idea of how to handle that. He's rolling out an AI dividend plan to share AI wealth. What do you think? Do you think big companies should be sharing that wealth, or do you think they earned it and, people like us don't deserve any of it because we didn't build it? Is there a certain tipping point where the ratio becomes so extreme that you would say, maybe tax them or do something where we all win? Well, those are the kind of thoughts people have been throwing around, and New York congressional candidate Alex Bors is proposing something called an AI dividend, and the idea is simple. As artificial intelligence grows, it could replace a lot of jobs. Bors wants to make sure that people still benefit financially even if their work is affected. His plan would take some of the wealth created by AI and share it directly with the public. Think of it as a payout tied to how much AI boosts the economy. And this comes at a time when more voters are worried about what AI might do to their jobs. So at this time, powerful tech groups are spending heavily to oppose him. So this plan is not just about technology, it's also about politics, money, and public fear. And the core message is clear. If AI creates massive wealth, that wealth should not just stay concentrated at the top. Bors is betting that voters will support a system where the gains from AI are shared, not just flowing up to a few. Actually, I read this article without hearing what he sounds like. Let me hear a quick clip. I feel like I get a lot from people when I hear him.
Bill. It is the strongest AI safety bill in the country, and I'm embarrassed by that fact. It should be much stronger.
When they come after it, when they're trying to get it changed, what are they so upset about?
It's that there's any regulation whatsoever. That really is the challenge. And that there is any regulation that they have to play by any rules is such an anathema to them. And they don't have to win forever. They only have to push this off for an election cycle or two. The speed with which AI is developing, the amount of political power, let alone capital that they will have to deploy in the future, will be unbounded. We already have elected officials who are terrified to take up this cause, despite how popular it is, because they see all the money on the other side and they're risk averse.
Let's look at some opinions about how AI is turning the Iran conflict into theater. Okay, so I have come across these videos. From what I hear, and I don't even know how to verify all this, but I guess they're coming out of Iran, so they're maybe government propaganda type videos, but they're using AI to make these pretty catchy songs. The messages in them are very kind of pro, I guess, Iran and anti-US, and then they're using these Lego AI kind of vibes to make them sort of catchy and sort of popular. I don't know if they're all getting taken down or not. I keep seeing them pop up and then they kind of disappear.
From across the ocean, I watch your screens glow at night. A nation built on fire, but the hand that waves your flag doesn't know you're there. So listen close, America. This song is yours to keep. The world is wide awake now, while you're still fast asleep.
Wake up, America.
Open your eyes.
Your biggest enemy wears your nation's disguise. They spend your children's future on wars you never chose.
Wake up.
Wake up, America. Everybody knows. Wake up.
The truth is on the
But yeah, that's basically the kind of stuff that was in my head when I came across this article. So the argument here is that AI isn't just helping track the war, it's turning it into something people watch, scroll, bet, and create on. So it covers how right now there are some people who are using AI to build dashboards to follow the Iran conflict in real time. So these tools pull in satellite imagery, ship data, news, chat, even betting markets all into one place to basically create these little command centers for people who want to vibe code like a war room. Some of them were built in just days or hours using AI. Many claim that they're faster and more truthful than traditional news. So they're building kind of YouTube channels and media around them, which is cool. I mean, in some ways, I like the idea of having multiple sources and data dissected in different ways and not having sort of somebody in control of them. But also that speed comes with problems. The dashboards show a huge amount of raw data. They often have AI written summaries that can be wrong or misleading. A lot of time, there's no real filtering, there's no deep context, there's no experts explaining what actually matters, and there's people basically able to build stuff that just reinforces the points they want to make. So data is sort of becoming less trustworthy in some ways, but also maybe there's new insights in there that actually are worth noticing, so it's kind of a mixed bag. There's also people who can be divisive and divided from what people are saying based on this, and then it allows for new AI-generated propaganda, marketing, and all sorts of AI-generated Lego videos coming from people who want to, use music and entertainment to push their propaganda. And there's this strong link between prediction markets where people place bets on outcomes turning into real conflict. So it makes it sort of something like a game and teams that you can join. You think about a football team and it's like you got a logo, you got people you can identify with, you've got certain planned outcomes, or you have planned matches that are going to have an outcome that you can root for. So now it's kind of like, all right, wake up tomorrow. Let's see what the planned, battle is going to be over something like the Strait of Hormuz, and like what's going to, happen, and whose team do you want to be on, and how do you want to market your win, and how do you want to celebrate and bond with your, fellow people on your team. And it's just not the way war should be thought of, like it's a very serious thing, and it's scary because people get recruited into it and they die. And if we don't have to have it, we shouldn't. And it's not football where people choose to do it. And for the most part, they don't get hurt and they get paid really well to do it. So I don't think it should be treated like a professional sport. But I also don't want data to be locked up behind certain companies that control access and have narratives of their own. So I'm just trying to kind of feel out where it's best, but AI is certainly opening the door to a lot more good and some more of the bad. Okay, so I didn't really understand at Meta how much they were taking from their employees. It is not surprising to me that if you're thinking in the long run about replacing everyone in your company, that you might want to record everything that they've ever typed or put on the screen. And, I suppose you're paying them, so they're working on projects for you, and the company has the right to that. But Meta is now tracking employees' every click, every keystroke. And you could easily imagine how they could just ask AI, like, who should I fire? Like, who's contributing the most? And what can you learn from the ones that are doing the most? Then do it on your own so we could fire them still. So Meta has started installing new software on employees' computers in the US. The software records how people use their machines, mouse movements, clicks, keystrokes, and the goal is to train AI systems to better understand how humans actually work on computers. Meta says AI is good at things like coding and research, but it still struggles with simple actions like using shortcuts or navigating the menus. So the company wants real examples from everyday work to improve its models. The program only tracks activity inside of approved work apps like emails, chats, and coding tools. It does not apply to personal phones, only to work computers, but still, employees were notified through an internal announcement and asked to enable the tool, and there is no opt-out. So yeah, every time I filled out a CAPTCHA, I thought to myself, like, oh, I'm training AI of the future. But yeah, if you work for a company and you're just doing your job and they're going to videotape the whole thing and they're going to track everything on your screen and every keystroke, how could there not just be some kind of future version of OpenClaw sitting there that's completely internal, Meta-controlled box, and it's just sitting there doing the work that all the people used to do? Then it'll move to a new phase where they just watch the computer and then they fix it when it does something wrong, and then they get fired. All right, and finally, let's talk about a new AI agent social network where you and I can't join. They are now posting, debating, and reviewing each other's own research. This is cool. It's not like Moltbook where it's just kind of drama or Reddit type things. This is supposed to actually be something that improves the scientific method. It is a new website. It's called Agent for Science. It kind of looks like Reddit, but it's only built for AI agents, and the point is science. Research papers, verification, citations. Actually pretty cool. Like, it'd be fun to watch something like this just evolve over time, and if it somehow can keep being grounded in real world experiments. And we know there's some new companies that are kind of building actual physical buildings that will do experiments, and they'll be run by AI and robots will do those experiments. But in the future, I could see actual science coming out of a system like this, and at the speeds they could do things, like, oh my God. It's also where some of the scary stuff comes from in some ways, but like also that's going to be pretty crazy if they keep ethics and safety and all that stuff. But assuming that can be solved, which is a big if, it would be pretty wild. I mean, humans can now watch what happens, but they can't post or reply. Only AI agents can share research, debate ideas, and comment on papers. Most of the papers on the site are also created by AI, so many come from a program that runs experiments on its own, then writes them up. And the goal is simple. Let AI talk freely about science. Don't get involved. Don't get humans to make it bias, and see what happens. Now, humans still have kind of a role. It's just not in the conversation. They can design agents, choose their focus, and give them personalities like skeptic or storyteller. Each comment is labeled to show what the agent is doing, like supporting questions or challenging the idea. And so far, more than 150 agents have made around 40,000 comments. And these discussions sometimes give new insights that a human might have missed when reading alone. So, for example, agents have debated how to reduce harmful medical misinformation in the AI system itself. And unlike other only AI platforms, this one stays focused on science, which I respect. That narrow focus helps keep the discussions grounded and useful. So it'll be interesting, especially when grounded in actual experiments. It's going to explore what knowledge creation could look like when AI talks directly to itself. And if you like this content, please share my YouTube channel, Dylan Curious, with some of your friends and see if maybe they would like it too. I will see you in the next video.